What's up, guys? Today we're here at the Dallas tunnels, aka the backroom tunnels that everyone talks about online. They're not really open. People say it's kind of abandoned, but today we're gonna go explore every last inch of the tunnels, see what is here for you guys. We're gonna document it, and we're gonna go jump back to the office at home and do a little voiceover of all the history of all this place. So yeah, let's get into it.
In 1969, an urban planner named Vincent Pont looked at a map of downtown Dallas and saw a problem. Texas summers were absolutely brutal. Texas winters were also very unpredictable, and the sidewalks above him were about to become completely obsolete. At least he thought. Pont wasn't new to this kind of thinking. He'd already built something very similar in the city of Montreal in Canada. An underground city beneath the snow that connected offices, shops, and transit without anyone having to even step outside. Dallas wanted that same kind of fix, just for heat instead of extreme cold, like in Canada. So like that, construction began very soon. Not one tunnel, but a huge network of tunnels interconnecting beneath the big city of Dallas. One that would eventually stretch 3 whole miles and connect 36 city blocks beneath the heart of downtown Dallas. The whole idea on paper was very nice. You would park in a garage at the edge of downtown, walk underground into the tunnels, which are climate controlled the entire way to your office building. You could grab lunch without ever feeling the pavement. You could walk to a meeting that was 3 blocks over without feeling any sweat through your shirt. You didn't have to deal with any rain, and you didn't have to deal with 105-degree heat or any wind chill in February. The whole idea was marketed pretty heavy, and for a while it was believed by many people to be very successful. As the future of how cities in extreme climates would function, a city beneath a city. Self-contained, efficient, and shielded from one thing Dallas couldn't control, its own weather. But for a while, it worked exactly as it was intended to. Through the 1970s and into the early 80s, the tunnel network grew alongside downtown Dallas's famous skyline. New office towers meant new tunnel connections. It expanded pretty organically, building by building, developer by developer, which is part of what makes it so strange to explore today. There's no single unified design throughout the whole tunnel. It feels like one tunnel system, and it's more like dozens of private hallways that happen to connect each other over 20 some odd years. That detail matters more than it sounds like it should, because it's part of why the whole system eventually had its decline. Now here's the part that most people get wrong when they tell the story about these tunnels, in my opinion. The popular version that you may have heard about this kind of story is the one you'll hear from longtime Dallas residents. The one a former mayor said on record to the New York Times in 2005, which is that the tunnels killed downtown Dallas, that they sucked pedestrians off the sidewalks, gutted street-level retail, and left downtown Dallas hollow throughout the late 1990s. It's a clean story. Underground city was built, street-level businesses died. It was cause and effect. But that timeline doesn't fully hold up. What actually happened in the 1980s was one of the most aggressive office building booms in Dallas history. Developers were throwing up tower after tower on this assumption that the growth was never ever going to stop. Then the savings and loan crisis hit, and Texas real estate collapsed almost overnight. Downtown Dallas ended up radically overbuilt, sitting on a mountain of office space that nobody ever needed anymore, right as the local economy was cratering. The tunnels didn't really cause that though, but they became the visible, physical explanation for something much harder to explain for people. A slow motion financial collapse that unfolded over years. Still, even if the tunnels weren't the root cause, they weren't really innocent either. Because whatever damage the economic collapse did to downtown Dallas, the tunnel system made it structurally impossible to recover the way that a normal street-level business district would. And that's the part that still matters to this day. That's the part that you can see with your own eyes walking through these tunnels when you're actually down there. These tunnels aren't privately owned though. They're not owned by the city of Dallas. They're owned by whichever building sits above each individual stretch of tunnel, which means there's no single authority deciding when they're open, how they're maintained, or whether they stay connected to their neighbors at all. Some property owners look at their section of tunnel and decide it's not worth the upkeep and simply close it permanently. Piece by piece, the network has been shrinking for decades, not through any single decision, but through dozens of small, disconnected ones. And the hours tell the real story of these tunnels. The tunnels are open on weekday business hours, period. Nights, closed, weekends, closed. Because their purpose was never built for public use. They were built for office workers moving between parking garages and cubicles. A closed-off loop that was all designed like that. Which is exactly why no business down here can survive the way a business up there can. Think about what a street-level shop gets access to. Morning commuters, lunch crowds, after-work happy hour, weekend foot traffic, and tourists wandering in because of a storefront that caught their eye from the sidewalk. A restaurant at street level can build a customer base 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, off people who weren't even looking for it. They just simply walked by. A business down here in these tunnels gets exactly one type of customer base, which is the office workers in the specific buildings connected to that specific stretch of tunnel for the exact hours those offices are staffed. That's it. No walk-in traffic because you can't even see those places from the street. There's no signage above ground pointing you down here. There's no evening revenue at all. No weekend revenue, no tourists, because tourists can't even know that these places exist unless someone tells them. And even then, half the entrances are locked behind private lobbies that require a badge to get into. But the businesses that do survive down here tend to be the ones built entirely around that narrow window. Quick lunch counters, dry cleaners, shoe repairs, the kind of errand-based commerce that only needs a lunch rush and a captive audience of 9-to-5ers. Anything that needs sustained foot traffic outside of those business hours simply cannot exist in this type of ecosystem. And it's not that the businesses down here failed because they were bad businesses, it's because the space itself was only ever built to support one narrow slice of commercial life. And everything outside of that slice was structurally excluded from the start. So that being said, these tunnels weren't the single cause of downtown Dallas's collapse in the 90s. That blame belongs mostly to a real estate bubble and a financial crisis that had nothing to do with pedestrian infrastructure. But these tunnels are the reason that downtown's recovery has been so lopsided ever since that downturn. A street level slowly coming back to life, sitting directly above a second invisible downtown that can only ever operate at a fraction of its potential. A city built beneath a city, designed for a workforce that clocks out by 6. Beautiful in its own kind of eerie way, and permanently incomplete and maybe even abandoned. Pont's vision wasn't wrong exactly. In a city like Dallas that gets this hot, the idea of an underground refuge made sense. But a city beneath a city only works if it belongs to everyone, all the time, but this one never really did. It belonged to whoever owned the building above it, whenever that building was open for whoever already knew where to look. That's not a utopia, it's just a really well insulated hallway in the end. And now that you guys know a little bit more about the history of these tunnels and what they were really meant for, I'll take you along with me as we actually go in there to explore.
All right, we just got inside. Behind me is the first hallway. Over in front of me is a parking garage. Right there, to the parking garage. But we're gonna go this way, down this cool little tunnel. It looks like a
Employee
Imperial
entry.
Star Destroyer.
Yeah, why are the walls yellow over here though?
So on the other side of the tunnel, it's
Alright
just
guys, today we're gonna
a
rob
real
every
office building.
in this complex.
Right there, there's people working, so I don't want to disturb them. But over here's our
I wonder
first
what this
sign of
place is.
anything abandoned.
Oh, this is a
Just through
children's
here.
place. This is like a
You can't see it too well with the
the
glare,
children's
but
hospital.
it
It's like
just
a, no, it's
goes
like the
up,
children's hospital, like the
and it goes
office,
back
like
up into
the-
this corner. It's all slanted. It looks really weird, but it's all just
What the fuck is back here?
cut off by all these bolt cutters here. But yeah, let's keep
There's
keep
just
going
alcohol
on and
and piss
seeing
bottles.
what else is back here.
Lives.
Little sign of anything being abandoned is out these glass doors right here. There's 2 escalators that go up and they say out of order. And then right here, there's just some sort of space blanket, a big red cardboard, and looks like some sort of clothing back there. I'll let you guys make up what you think of that, but that's really the only other thing that we've seen so far for anything being abandoned. Looks like here used to be some newspapers
No, I know.
from
Why
all
are the
these
walls
different
yellow?
companies. Auto Finder, Fashion Deluxe, Inform, Dallas Christian Family.
Imagine this at night,
Network.
bro.
But it's all busy and on a slant to where it said out of order up there. And there's all these cobwebs and a nice little fireball right there. So yeah, shows you how much in use this place really is. Now on the other side of this room that we just walked into is this really creepy hallway to 1600 Pacific. But when we get back here, it goes from this white paneling to these kind of tiles. And then there's just plywood with a door here that I don't want to open because I don't want an alarm to go off. But then there's this behind these doors that seem to open and close. It's pretty loud back here. Seems like an AC unit or some sort of water heater will probably be back here, just based off the noise. But it's completely locked as well. So as you can see, still continuing the theme of being an abandoned workplace down here. Got some random tables here for I don't know what, because there's nothing going on back here. The random tub of chlorine from Leslie's swim store right there. And then there's a service corridor back there, which is also locked as well. But here's another abandoned office building where there's no one working. There's nothing in there at all. And these are all locked too. So here we've got the sweatshop, gym use and Arabic classes for $35, but when you look inside, there's nothing going on in there. Nobody's home. It says to use the other door, but there's no other door. It's just abandoned. Nothing going on back here. So yeah, that's the first little portion of the Dallas tunnels that we've gone into so far. We'll keep you updated for any haunted activity. Now we're going back up this first ramp we came down to see if there's any more accessible tunnels that we can get to. There's the parking garage, and here's another section that we're gonna try and go to. Hopefully it's a little bit bigger than the one that we just went to because it wasn't that big at all. The first thing that you see after exiting that tunnel section is the Pickle Barrel Emporium. Fine sandwiches with an all-you-can-eat Indian buffet, but the door is boarded up on this side, and over here, the door is completely broken with no handle or anything. And it's just hanging off. But they take American Express, MasterCard, and Visa, but there's nothing going on in there at all. And on this other side, right across from Pickle Barrel, is just a random little natural sunlight garden that you can enter through this door if you really want to. Let's see if it's open. Nope, it's locked. Yeah, it's a really weird looking plant. All right, now we're going up to the bigger section of the tunnels. Through these doors here, there's a random door to the right, random door to the left of that one. There's another one right there. We just came through those. It seems like there's some spots down here. It smells like some food, but we're gonna go up first. So up here is just some offices, nothing too crazy. So we're going back down the escalator, and yeah, we're gonna go explore the rest of this downstairs portion of the tunnels that we are in right now. So yeah, here it's just more tables. They're empty, with looks like where another business used to be, at least. Nothing going on back there. Just some lampshades that hang down very low. But then we keep going. The doors are locked here. And yeah, looks to be some sort of check-in desk right there. It's no longer functioning. Now, this really looks like the back rooms here, then down there as well. I just saw Clark. But yeah, it's a bunch of buildings and doors. This one has a sign, so I'm sure this one is actually functional. But then here, it appears to be elevators, but there's no buttons anywhere. So I don't know how we're supposed to use the elevators. There's no buttons to go up or down. And even the lights up at the top are busted as well. So these probably haven't been in service for quite a while. All right, now back this way on the other side of the escalators that we came down. We're gonna go this way and see what's going on over here. Now on the back of the escalator, there's some paintings here and along the wall this way that look pretty creepy. This one looks really weird. But yeah, they also do have complimentary Wi-Fi down here if you do need it. But let's take a look at some of these other paintings on the wall as well. So we got a little chef, or waiter, excuse me, up on the wall there. And then this one looks really creepy. Little chef cooking up some sauce right there. And we got another waiter right here. These have very interesting art styles. And then a nice little cafe here. But yeah, very interesting. We're coming back from this way, going down this hallway now. They have a shoe drop box that has an open sign in it, so I don't know if it's actually open or not, but then there's a Quiznos sign. I don't know what that is. Oh, here's some actual elevators that work with buttons. I think there's restrooms right there. And I think, oh, this is a little food court. That's what it is. There's food back there. It's not open right now though. But over here, the restaurants do look open. This is the first little section down here where it doesn't look like there's any business going on. So it used to be a restaurant. There's some container boxes right there, but. So we were just right there at that restaurant that wasn't open. Here we have a nice little 3-story thing going on here with some escalators to go up. There is a working restaurant right there. And then also right here, there's a store. And there's seems to be like a working office building up there. You can see the fan spinning. And then down this way, which is where we're gonna head next, looks pretty promising. So let's see if there's something interesting down here.
The ones that have a professor on down here, they can literally just advertise wherever they want.
Yeah. So up this way is definitely just a food court. There's a Subway right there that's open. Here there's a little deli, but doesn't seem to be open right now. No one in there. There's a little corner store right there. All right, we're gonna try Social Kitchens. They got some burgers, wraps, some salads, various different sandwiches, and some very interesting looking chicken here. But it's like one of the only places open, so we're gonna try it out. Next to the Social Kitchens, we got Po Poke Hawaiian and street food, but this one's not open. It looks like it shares the same kitchen to Social Kitchens though, so it's a little interesting. And then here, there's not really anything going on either. There's like a Smoothie King here, but there's no action going on in the Smoothie King back there. And here we got Divine Jewelry. But then it's the same thing, I'm saying it every time. There's nothing going on back there. There's no way that that's a jewelry store. We got some shoe shining here, but I'm not sure people come in here enough to get their New Balances shined. Verdict on the buffalo chicken sandwich from Social Kitchens. 7 out of 10. Let's get a little look at it. Looks great.
Let me know.
What do you think about your chicken over there?
It's really good.
Come with fries?
It does.
Yummy.
So I forgot to record an outro while we were there, but thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed me taking you along with me to the tunnels, and let me know down below what you guys want to see me cover next. And yeah, thank you guys.